If you want to introduce yourself, Lauren, to everyone.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren Gunderson. I'm the playwright of the Heath.
We have a couple of questions today from the Merrimack Repertory Theater for your world premiere coming up of The Heath, which we're so excited about. And what I wanted to know first is, what was it like writing a piece of your work that is extremely personal to you?
Yeah, it's a strange thing. In some ways, it's really easy because it's my story, and it's things and details and moments that I remember quite clearly. And in another way, it's quite foreign because it is looking at myself from the outside, which one doesn't really do. And so that's been the big journey, certainly working with Sean, because the first draft of the play, in many ways, I kind of let myself off the hook. And in a play like this, that means leaving the audience off the hook. And a good director like Sean is, and a good dramaturg like he is, knows to really heighten the tension and make the stakes really high. And that required me rearranging some things, being a little tougher to myself and on myself. And frankly, it required stop thinking of it as myself and making a more dramatized, fictionalized version of my experience, which was both a gift and kind of therapy.
Awesome, great. And that's kind of something, as I've been watching the rehearsals, that's something that I thought crossed my mind, that must have been a very therapeutic thing for you to go through.
Yeah, it was. And the original version, I read the role as I was developing the play, so I've performed it twice now, just one or two nights of doing it, which that is some real therapy and gives me enormous appreciation and tremendous respect to our actors, George and Miranda, who Miranda is just doing extraordinary, breathtaking work and playing the banjo. And George, it's a really hard role because he is flipping between, playing my grandfather and, just jumping into some intense King Lear. It goes like right in between the two, which is a lot to ask. So that's, I think, why Sean has found the incredible caliber of actor to do these roles.
Couldn't agree more. My next question for you is, if your papa ever had the chance to see one of your plays, what do you think he'd say?
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. He would be nothing but compliments because he was that kind of guy, and he would, I think, have laughed a lot and found it kind of intriguing and probably a little strange. He did see me perform as a very young actor, so it wasn't a play that I wrote, but he came and saw with my grandmother before she passed away, a play that I was in. I think I was 10 or 11 in this play. It was a professional production in Atlanta, so it wasn't like a school play. And their experience, they certainly remembered that. It was a strange play because the character that I was playing had to curse a lot, and they're very kind of Christian and very like that's not okay at all. So they were a little shocked, and maybe that colored their impression of theater as a whole.
That's funny. After writing this personal piece, what has it been like participating in the rehearsals using the Facebook portal, and have you done this long distance before?
Yeah. This is a hard one to not be in the room for, and this unique story and the form of it, and the fact that it's not just dialogue and text, but it's music as well, some of the songs which I wrote. And so it's hard not being there. For all reasons, every play is hard when you're not in the room because theater asks you to show up and be there in person. But circumstances, as it were, we had discovered this pretty incredible tool of this new technology called the Facebook portal, which is basically an iPad-shaped camera with an amazing camera, amazing microphone, and it has really allowed me to as close as I can get to being there, and without being intrusive to the Sean's directing and the actors' performance in their work. So that's been actually wonderful, I thought. I'm kind of still desperate to be there, of course, but it has allowed us to make quick changes to really see the work that's going on, to be in conversation, long distance. And I've tried a lot of different technology to accomplish the same task. And thus far, this one has been, I think, the most successful.
Excellent, excellent. Would you mind sharing with us one of your favorite memories of you and your papa?
A lot of them are in the play. But, there's tons. I'll always remember watching the Braves with him. I would join him sometimes as a kid. He had these Saturday breakfasts with his old friends from Duke Power, and they would all go to Hardee's on a Saturday morning. And when I was visiting him, he would take me, and when my sister, got older, he would take her too, and we would just sit there and, just have egg biscuits with these old guys. But it was just the greatest. It felt really cool. And there was a guy who would always be there who had a really long white beard, so I definitely thought I was having breakfast with Santa.
That's so amazing. So, on a heavier note, was there anything surprising you learned about Alzheimer's disease throughout this process?
Yeah, I didn't actually know. Well, there's a ton, certainly on the more highly scientific side of things. So one of the science facts that I just find such a compelling metaphor is how memory works. Is there is an empty space between the ends of the neurons. When the electricity leaps from neuron to neuron in your brain, there's an empty space there. And something about that is really compelling to me, that how memory works and why we have these memories and this ability to think and recall the way we do requires these tiny bits of emptiness. And so I don't quite know what that means, and at times in the play, the metaphor kind of expands and contracts during the play, but I found that really compelling. And then how the disease actually functions is the sense that you lose your most recent memories first. And so you are left, when you have any memory at all, it's very old memories. It's old songs that you learned when you were a kid, or memories of a great grandparent, or something when you were 5 or 10. And so it's a really it's a devastating disease, and it's cruel on a number of levels. But to, in essence, erase the people that are there for you, because those are the more recent memories, are us, the people that are here and love you, and that's what gets taken away almost immediately.
Now to switch it back, what is the story behind you and the banjo?
Oh man, that banjo! I love that banjo. I started writing this play, and there was no banjo in it. It was about my grandfather in King Lear, and Alzheimer's and dementia, and et cetera, daughters and granddaughters. And I was walking through Berkeley one night. I live in the Bay Area. Walking through Berkeley, and there was a big sign above me that just said, "Learn banjo!" Big exclamation point. And obviously it was advertising banjo lessons and guitar lessons. And I just looked up, and it occurred to me how much my grandfather loved bluegrass and Flat and Scruggs banjo, and that southern sound is so kind of iconic with those stringed instruments, especially the banjo. And I don't know, I just had this crazy instinct of like, okay, I'll learn banjo. And then, of course, the journey of learning and what music is. And, of course, music is very intimately connected to memory. All of us can recall songs. We know all the lyrics, and you haven't heard the song in a decade and a half. So there's something that really fit in. And it was, in some ways, it was a bit of self-flagellation, trying to learn something. I didn't play guitar. I didn't play ukulele. I didn't play anything. And so I just went down and bought one and started teaching myself. And, I'm not good, but I can play, and I do love it. I love it so much. And now my kids, of course, they love instruments, and so they bang away at it and strum it. And so they'll probably be better banjo and guitar players than I am.
That's so funny. So finding out about your family's history in your mama's trunk, how has that influenced your writing?
Oh, that's such a great question. I don't know. I know that feeling of opening the trunk that my mom had, that we always just thought was kind of full of, I don't know what we thought it was full of. But there were so many letters that my grandfather and grandmother wrote to each other, most of them during the wartime when he was overseas, and some of when he was a POW. And it was just so compelling to see them all, just knowing the historical scope of what was in the background behind these very sweet, innocent, simple little letters. It made me understand them more, love them deeper, imagine them in their youth, which when I came along, they were not. I think part of, if it has affected my writing, I know it has, I don't know exactly how, but it is a great respect for, frankly, the limits of language, because I know the anxiety that it must be to have been writing to a soldier in the middle of a war or across the world. But the letters can't betray that. And it's just, well, it was a sunny day and I saw this movie and, just trying to pretend things are normal. So I love what language can do, but also what it can't and what we know is behind some simple language, like a letter. But we know that there's so much more there, so much more. I love you, I miss you, I'm praying for you. All of the flood of emotional things that a lot of people don't allow themselves to say, and certainly my grandparents didn't. So it's an interesting kind of test case of that.
Yeah, you definitely feel like a deeper connection, even though they're no longer here, but there's something there that resides inside of you right now, that after reading them and peeling back the layers of an onion, per se, like you had known them your whole life, but this made you know them even more, right?
Yeah. And it is, it makes me feel sad that I didn't get to talk about it more with them. But what a gift to, a decade after my grandmother passed away, discover things that she said and thought and did. And
it's amazing. So
it also makes me want to write down everything. We don't do that now with email and text. And it's like, I want to write, just constantly be writing so that my grandkids can, I don't know what they'll do, but
I couldn't agree more. And my last question for you today is, what do you hope the audiences take away from seeing this show?
A lot of things. Tell the people you love that you love them. Ask older American people and every people. Ask older generation about their life, about what they thought, about the lessons they've learned, about how, just everything that you can. I also think one of the critical scenes in the play is explaining across generations what matters to you and why. And Christianity and God and church mattered a lot to my grandfather, but I never asked him why. And theater and art and language means a lot to me, and I never told him that or why I love it. And I think that's a way to reach across time. And if your grandparents believe something politically different than you, it's a way, like, through the basis of love and family, we should be able to talk about things, and in the context of things that we love and why we love them. I think that's a way to be honest and authentic to ourselves, but also learn about somebody else's authenticity and honesty. And so I hope they get that feeling. Maybe want to listen to a little bit more banjo in your life. What else? Yeah, it's also in some ways a play about why theater matters and how it works and why it works and why go see plays. So I think because they are in a play currently watching it, they'll probably appreciate that, but it may broaden their thinking about why they go to see plays and how that matters to them in their lives. What else? Oh, there's so many things, but a lot of it is being able to show up for people and tell them you love them and get them talking.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your really busy schedule. I just want to tell you that watching from the rehearsals, I'm so excited to see this put together on stage. And just thank you for sharing such a really personal thing here. And I think our audiences are really this is going to hit home for some people. Mm-hmm. And I think this is going to be very therapeutic for many others. And through the art of just visualization and through performing in theater, just be able to get this message out there is just so important nowadays, that especially with, mental health is a big thing out there. So I think just being able to realize that there's some beauty within things and that family is important, and how we can make a connection even though somebody may not be no longer physically here with us, but emotionally, right? So
yeah. Well, that means a lot. I'm glad that it's hitting you that way, and I'm really excited. I am very excited to see it.
Well, thank you, Lauren, and we wish
so
you the
much,
best,
yeah.
and we can't wait to show our audiences this new performance.
Me too. What a joy. I love Merrimack so much. So it's an honor and a thrill.
And so we're going to be world premiering The Heath here on our stage, and we hope everyone enjoys. Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Bye.